Welcome. You're watching Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life, with your host, Danny Pabone and Rifle Scudder.
Welcome to another episode of Rugby with Rifle, a podcast about all things rugby and life. As always, I'm joined here with my friend Rifle. Rifle, how are you doing, sir?
Doing very well, thank you, Danny. A nice and warm Virginia this last week, so things are looking up here.
Yes, same here in Jersey. Finally, we're getting consistent good weather, so that's good to hear. The only thing I don't like is back to mowing the lawn.
Yeah, comes
My
with the
favorite
territory, my
chore,
friend.
my favorite
Yeah,
chore, mowing and trimming the lawn. But yay, somebody's got to do it, right?
there you go. Yeah.
So, welcome everybody. In this episode, we're going to continue our series at the club level of the different leagues around the world. And today we're going to talk about the Premiership Rugby League, aka the Gallagher Premiership Rugby League, Gallagher being the sponsor of the league this year. So, this league is just watching at the highlights over the past few days or so. Rifle, there's a big talk because, as everybody knows, there's the British and Irish Lions tour coming up this summer in June. And 2 weeks from the time of this recording, the players for that tour are going to be announced. And obviously, this is an English league, so many of the players in this league are going to be, well, not playing, but hopeful. Let's say it that way. They're going to be hopefuls for that team. And as we know, Andy Farrell has was selected to be the coach of the British and Irish Lions tour. And for those of you who have not watched our episode on the British and Irish Lions tour, episode 29. So go check that out and learn about the tour. So yeah, a lot of these players are hoping to be on the team, Rifle. So you're
Yeah,
gonna
you got
see.
a lot of England players. That some of them playing other places, but England is still one of the nations that they want their players to be playing in England for English clubs. Some countries, for example, my country of South Africa, we allow our players to play in different clubs overseas, so they don't have to play for a South African club to qualify for the Springboks. New Zealand doesn't do that. They want their players to only play for New Zealand clubs to be eligible for the All Blacks. And England
Mhm.
is another one of those where they want their players to play in England. So these guys playing in this league here are the guys from England, obviously, because as you know, it's the four nations. So you've got Scotland, Wales, and Ireland in there too. But England did pretty well in the Six Nations. So there will be quite a few English players hoping to get a spot and a call up for the British and Irish line. So it's going to be interesting, as you said, 2 weeks from now to see which one of them is going to make it and which aren't. So we're waiting to see.
Yes, yes, and as we have spoken before, it's a big thing, the British and Irish tour that occurs every 4 years. It's a big thing for any English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish player to be a part of that team. It's a good thing on the resume if you're part of the British and Irish tour. So yeah,
Definitely, yes.
and more big news in English rugby. The player Ben Youngs is retiring after well, I forget how many years. I think it was 18. Forget how many years, but
Well, you got
he's
four World Cups, so that's if it's every 4 years, so there's 16. So however many years before he played his first World
okay.
Cup, so he's basically done everything you possibly can
Yep.
in rugby except win a World Cup. But he's played for England. He's a centurion, record try scorer. He's done so many things. British and Irish Lions, he was chosen for them. So, I mean, everything that you possibly can do as an Englishman, he's accomplished. So, it's a wonderful career for him. Um, on the one hand, as a South African, happy to see him go. On the other hand, as a rugby lover, sad to see him go because he was a good player. You got to play against the best to be the best, and he was definitely one of them, and just a real servant of the game. So it's going to be sad not having him playing and running around and watching him anymore. But like we say, there's a podcast on life as well. Younger guys, they come in and they're hungry and they play as much as they can. And everyone, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what sport you are, doesn't matter what position in life you take, there comes a day where you say, I just can't do this anymore, and you got to let the youngsters come through and just let them take over from where you finished. So well done, Ben Youngs, and clap of hands to him. Hat off, sir. Accomplished everything that you possibly could, other than a World Cup, but that's great.
Yes, yes. And just to give a few numbers here. So, according to what I've read, so he's had 127 England caps. And for those of you who do not know, a cap is a player who plays for the national team. So essentially, they played in a game. So essentially, he's played 127 games for the national English rugby team. Like you said, British Irish Tour, 5 Premiership titles, 4 Six Nations crowns. So yeah, so a lot of accomplishments. And he made it to one final of the Rugby World Cup. Unfortunately, they did not win. So that's the
No, why
only
why do
thing
you say
missing.
that, Danny? Why do you say unfortunately
Oh,
they did not win? Because they played against South Africa. So come on, man.
I didn't, I didn't mean it that way.
Unfortunately for
I
him.
know. Okay, yes, that's what I meant. Unfortunately for him,
Okay.
my apologies, rifle. I didn't catch that one. Now, unfortunately for him, my apologies. You have
Yeah.
corrected me.
So
So
in
yeah,
this
that's
year, there are quite a couple of English guys because Joe Marler retired. He also played many years, a lot of World Cups. Same, he also played with Ben in 2019 when South Africa won that same game. He was there. He retired. They're talking about Coley, the other prop that played with Joe Marler. He's also getting up in age and talking about hanging up his boots. You and I spoke about it last week a little bit. Some of the players that really have been stalwarts for England that have played. Courtney as well, who left and is playing in France now. So a lot of English guys that have been there for many, many years have retired this year. So they're going to have to find new guys to replace them. And even if it's not just for the English side, definitely for the clubs they're playing, because, from the clubs, you pick the English or the main side, the international team. So at club level, you're going to have to find all of these replacements for these guys. So it's going to be interesting to see the new players that come through.
yes, yes, and it's like you said, any sport you have the veterans, and then eventually they retire, and then the new stars or superstars come in. So yeah, it's very I just to from my experience um in basketball, I grew up watching Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley, 90s, talking about late 90s basketball. And I remember the day that Michael Jordan retired, I was like, oh my God, Michael Jordan is retiring. Who? I'm not going to watch basketball anymore because Michael Jordan is retiring. But then you have players like Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. So yeah, when you see people who have accomplished so much in the sport retire, you have, well, at least for me, you have that mindset. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch it anymore because they're retiring. But then you have other superstars and young players that step up, and you have more great players that step up. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see.
Cycle of life.
Yes. So with that, everyone, let's get right to it. Again, the Premiership Rugby League and sponsored by Gallagher. So technically, it's the Gallagher Premiership Rugby League. So yeah, this league is made up of 10 teams. We have the Bath, we have Bristol Bears, Exeter Chiefs, Gloucester Rugby, the Harlequins, the Tigers, the Falcons, Newcastle Falcons, Northampton Saints, the Sale Sharks, and the Saracens. So yeah, so again, I was just looking through the different teams, just trying to familiarize myself with the different players. So yeah, it's pretty good to see. You know, you have your usual names, like for example, Finn Russell. Even though he's
Scottish.
Scottish, he plays for Bath. And then you have other names such as, and again, this is for me because I know some people are going to watch who are rugby fans like, we already know that. We know who the players.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so it's pretty cool. We have Marcus Smith and others that I got to see during the Six Nations tour. But this year, and we'll get into this in a minute or so. Yeah, Bath is dominating this year. They're way ahead in the points. So yeah, it's interesting to see how dominant Bath is this year.
Well, let me ask you this, Danny. If you take these teams, if you take Bath, you take the Leicester Tigers, and you take Harlequins, who are those three teams fly halves? You've already
Okay,
mentioned two.
okay. So we have Bath with Finn Russell.
Correct?
What were the other two teams? I'm sorry that you mentioned.
Harlequins,
Okay, and
you
Saracens.
mentioned you mentioned
Okay,
that,
so I mentioned Marcus Smith.
right?
I'm trying to remember
Correct?
which. So it's either Saracens or Harlequins. So I got a 50% chance of getting
No,
this
no, no.
right.
He play. That's what I say. Harlequins. That's Marcus Smith.
Harlequins.
And then
Okay,
who's
yes.
the fly half for the Tigers?
The Tigers.
Ever heard of a fly half called Andre Pollard?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. So you got a Springbok, you got a Scottish, and you got an English fly half playing in the same league as one another. So that's very interesting when those three guys play against one another to see who's the best fly half.
Wow. I have forgotten about Pollard. Yes.
Yeah.
From the
And he's
famous.
coming back to South Africa after this season. He's just finishing up with the Leicester Tigers, and he signed one of the biggest contracts in South African rugby to go back to the Blue Bulls, my team in South Africa. So after this season,
Wow.
he's done with the Tigers. He's been there, I think, 2 or 3 seasons maybe, and now he's going back to the Bulls.
Wow. So I'm sure you're happy about that.
Going to be great to have him back home where he belongs.
And for those of you who don't know, Andre Pollard was pretty much, if you haven't seen the series Chasing the Sun 2, in that series he was called up due to injury, and he was coming back from an injury, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. Yeah, he wasn't chosen because he was injured.
Yes. So remember Pollard being not the hero, but the man that was called up because they needed a good kicking game. Fortunately, his name escapes me. The
Marnie
gentleman
Libok?
who was doing the kicking duties. Yes,
Marnie Libok.
there you go. Thank you. So yeah, he wasn't having a great time at kicking. So Pollard was called up
Yeah.
in order to take over the kicking duties, and it was a controversial. Too many calling him up, but we won't mention why. You have to go watch the episode. So yeah, so okay, I had
And
forgotten
then
completely.
the funny thing about that is after the World Cup, especially because Pollard kicked in a semi-final. South Africa played against England, and it came down to a penalty at the last 2 minutes, and Pollard slotted that from his own halfway line. When the World Cup was over and club rugby started, when he played for the Tigers, the crowd booed him because he's playing for an English club and he sunk England. So that was very interesting to see.
Yeah. He was like, sorry, England, it's not personal, it's just business.
It's just business. That's right.
Wow. Wow, that's pretty be England in the World Cup and then come back to England to play at that club
Yeah.
level. Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty interesting. Pretty cool. So yeah, so the league format is pretty simple. So we have each team playing every other team twice. So once at home, once away. So obviously currently there's 10 teams in the league. And throughout the years, there's been 12, 13. The numbers have varied throughout the years. Um, the one thing I want to mention, so this league started technically in 1987, but as its predecessor was the Courage League, and then in 1998 or 97, 1997, um, was when the actual Premiership League, its current name, was started. And so, yeah, so technically, the Premiership League has been around for about 20, no, almost 30 years now. But technically, if you add its predecessor, it's been around about 40 years, or close to 40 years, I should say. So, yeah, so this is very typical. If you've seen our United or other episodes about the different club level leagues, it's very similar format. We have the top four teams uh, after the 18 matches are played go to the playoffs. So essentially, there's no quarterfinals. There's the semifinal, and then there's the final. And as we see here, Rifle, the point system is same. It's the exact point system from the United Rugby Championship League. There's no
The Northern
difference there.
Hemisphere, all their competitions
Mhm.
are basically the same. So Six Nations, all the North in Europe. So as soon as you hit that equator and you go above that, their rugby competitions have this kind of a point system.
Yes. And the other leagues are very similar, except for a minor difference, which I saw in our last episode, where, um, well, it was a minor difference. Let's just leave it at that. So, like I mentioned before, after 14 rounds, Bath has a significant lead. So they're currently by 15 points in the point system. So
Yep.
that's a decent league after 14 rounds.
Yeah,
Um,
they're doing well.
yeah. So with another four matches to play, Bath has to really do terrible not to make not to make the
Right.
playoffs. Yeah,
There's to throw away at this stage, eh?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. If 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 they, I don't know, I haven't done the math, but well, if they win the next game, they're pretty much they could lose the last three and still make the top four.
They'll still go through, yeah.
Yeah, with the huge lead that they have currently. So yeah, so we have if the season were to end today, we'll have Bath, the Tigers, the Bears, and the Sharks making the playoffs. But um, after Bath, two through let's see, 2 through 5 are only a couple points difference. So anything could happen. You could have a couple of teams in the top four fall out, and two teams take their place. So yeah, it's a lot of rugby to play, and this list top four could change dramatically
Yeah.
over the next 4 weeks. So yeah, should be interesting to see. Um, and looks like Newcastle, the Falcons are not having such a great year this year.
They're battling a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, so there you go. That's the current standings as from the time of this recording. So as always, I just wanted to highlight the different. I know you have family in England, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So have you been to any of stadiums out there, Twickenham or no, anything? No.
No, I've not. I unfortunately visited the times that I was there when rugby season wasn't on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So maybe that's a thing to put on a list.
definitely. Yeah, I'd love to go to Twickenham and watch the Springboks play over there. That would be
Yes,
an amazing dream come true.
and have them win.
Of course, yes, we would hope so.
So yeah, so these are the all the different fields or stadiums that the teams play for, and this being England, English teams, and England being the country in which rugby was found. So yeah, so it's no surprise that these teams go back to the 19th century, 1800s. So yeah, so these are all the different fields the each team plays for. So let me just go to the next slide. So the Harlequins, I didn't realize when I saw Twickenham, I thought it was the actual stadium. I was like, wait a minute, that's Twickenham, and then I realized no, it's Twickenham's Stoop, which is another field that the Harlequins play on. So yeah, these are the different fields. Um, so I know we had mentioned this before, Rifle. Like as you can see, these fields are not what your typical stadium, what you see in here in the U.S. Your typical, huge stadiums with 70, 80,000 seats. So it all goes to, and you've mentioned this many times in past episodes, how rugby has more of that family atmosphere where you have the rugby players interact more with the fans. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see, where you have these stadiums where it seems like there's more intimacy between the players and the fans.
Correct. And another thing that they have in South Africa, we have exactly the same, New Zealand as well, where you do not have that in America, specifically with the major sports like the basketball or the baseball or that. Yeah, we've got Harlequins, we've got the Tigers, we've got the Saints. They will all have junior teams. So you will have a Harlequins under 20, you'll have a
Hmm.
Harlequins under 18. You'll have a Harlequins. I'll start looking in that area and guys who are 12, 13, 14 and ask them if they want to come and they'll start training with the Harlequins juniors. So as you say, it's more intimate. The players know one another. The fans get to interact and you can start playing for Harlequins as an under 12 or under 13-year-old. So you in the stadium, you're there with the players, you get tickets, you do that, you play on the field. So, if they play Friday or Saturday night, your game will be maybe in the morning. So it's getting people accustomed to playing and just, it's like you say, it's a family thing where in America you don't have a Kansas City Chiefs under 20 side. You don't have that because everyone's at college or they're playing university, college here in America. But as I say, England, South Africa, so these countries, we have under 20s, we have under 21s, we have under 18s, and then you go all the way down to under 13. So you've got people trying to get the youngsters in and just make them hungry to play, for that club. And when you grow up in that area, this is your home ground, this is where you want to be, and this is what you want to play for. So that's another reason they have that, is just because they've got younger teams playing for the very same team that the professionals play for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to see. I mean, here in America, um, you in basketball at least you have what they call the G League, and the NBA what they call the G League. Um, but technically they're still professionals. But you know those players that, let's say, get drafted, but they turn out not to be too good, the team will send them to the G League to help them develop. And then once they develop, then the team brings them back to the league to play professional. But what you're explaining is totally different. That player comes up through the system of the team. So it's like you said, it's more personable. You know the player because they've been in the system for many years within the system, as opposed to, like you said, American sports where do have development leagues, but those players are always changing because if a player gets traded or whatever, so not many of the players, even at those leagues, lower leagues, come up through that team system because they could have been traded 2 3 times. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see how the sport of rugby develops their players. Very similar to the sport of soccer.
Exactly the same, yeah.
Yeah, so soccer is another sport that develops. Many soccer teams have their development programs for young athletes and kids. So yeah,
Yeah,
pretty cool to see and watch.
yeah,
Cool. And then we have here the last two stadiums here for the Saracens and Sharks. So these two plays that I wanted to highlight here occurred this past weekend in the league. So the first play I wanted to highlight here, again, that occurred this weekend, and let me just make this a little bigger so that everybody is watching can see. So here we have, as many know, a scrum here. And what I love about this play is just the speed that the players, the reaction time that they have. And what do I mean by that? So let me just run the play here so that everybody can see what I'm talking about here. So we start off. So we have a scrum. And here we go, some amazing pass and speed. So I'm going to stop it here. And so in this play, it's amazing because we have the team. This is actually Bath, actually. So we have Bath here running the ball, speed. So what happens when you have speed and you're going towards the try line? You have the defense that collapse on the ball. So we have a tackle here, and look at the speed of this. I mean, they don't waste no time. Boom, boom, and look at nobody at the edge there. So that player right there at the end, I mean, what's the closest defender? What is that, about 10, 15 meters? So that was beautiful play to watch. And again, how did that happen? Speed off the ball. I mean, and even when the player got tackled, I mean, the scrum half took the ball, boom, started running again. And that's what happens when you have speed. Defense collapse, and you have two players there at the end, wide open, nobody near them. So that was a pretty cool play to see how that formed and how easily Bath scored in this play right here. The second play I wanted to highlight here is a beautiful pass from the captain of the English national team, Itoje, who plays for the... Oh, my mind just escaped me. I forgot what team he plays for.
The Sharks?
The Sharks. Yes. So we have a line out here with his arm being pulled. Somehow he chose pass, and that's to a forward who's not used to scoring. So I just wanted to highlight that play. I mean, it's not necessarily a great play, but just to see. Again, let me just run this with his arm being out. And then he's just getting up. He's like, did I just score? Yeah, so that was pretty funny to watch. So pretty nice pass from Itoje with his arm being held. Pretty cool to watch. So yeah. So there you go, everyone. That's again the Gallagher Premiership Rugby League. That's a mouthful. Try saying that 5 times fast. Yeah, so that's the professional league that is played in England. And once again, all these players are hopeful that they are picked, or many of these players are hopeful that they are picked for the British and Irish Lions tour, who are going to start the tour with, and we have mentioned this before, with Argentina. So yeah, so the British and Irish are going to be playing Argentina in, forget where exactly. Is it in Dublin?
Is Ireland? Yeah, must be. Not must
Dublin?
be, but could be, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot what stadium they're going to play at. I believe it's in Dublin. So, yeah. So, yeah, so that's going to be another, again, as we mentioned before, a lot of great, exciting rugby to be played this summer. So, to end this episode, we just wanted to, again, show some love to the women's side. Women's Six Nations Week 4 occurred this past weekend, and once again, top 2 teams, France beating Italy, England. Man, that English team is just, there's nobody that could compete with them. English
Yeah.
beating Scotland, and Ireland beating Wales. Now, this sets up for a great week 5 because England and France are going to be playing each other in week 5. So yeah, it's going to be interesting because obviously this game is going to determine who takes the Six Nations crown. So yeah, so it's going to be
Tough
pretty cool.
against England as they are favourites to win the whole World Cup, so it's going to be tough to take them on. It's going to
Yes,
be a good game. Should be a good game, but I think England maybe at this stage just a little bit too strong
yes, yes, they
with the
are.
experience that they've come away with over the years.
Yes, and it shows in the dominance that they've had in the Six Nations. What's the point differential? 184. So yeah, that's a decent sized
That's
point
big. Yeah,
differential.
yeah.
So yeah, so even so if France want to win and they score 4 tries, that'll put them at 24. But then if England loses, but they lose by
With less
less
than
than
seven
seven,
points.
that'll put them at 25. So yeah, so you know,
Very
in
tough.
order for England to take this, they have to make sure they win and make sure England doesn't score 4 tries or more,
Yeah,
and they don't lose less than 7. So yeah, it's going to be a tall task for France,
very much
nonetheless.
so.
Either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good matchup. Again, I know the men's Six Nations, the final week was uh, everybody was anticipating the final week because there was a lot of big matches that last week, and same thing here with the women's Six Nations.
Mm.
And currently, poor Wales. Wales looks like Wales women's might get the winning spoon
Mm.
as well. Poor Wales. Come on, Wales. I'm still rooting for you, but that's life. So to finish off this episode, I just wanted to highlight again one of the players from this past weekend. And here we go. So this is the Irish team scoring by forming a maul. And this is just, I mean, Wales had,
Textbook.
I mean, this looks so easy. I mean, there was no, look at that.
Absolutely textbook move.
Yes. And let me just play that again. Yeah, because, I mean, look at that form. I mean, as soon as they got the ball, they started pushing, and Wales did not have any chance
Yeah.
of stopping them once they got that momentum. So yeah, so there you go. That's the play I wanted to highlight. Again, for the women's week 4 of the Women's Six Nations uh, competition tournament. So yeah, again, week 5. Let's see. Is England going to come out as Six Nations champions, or can France somehow pull out a win against England and beat them in score? So yeah, we shall see.
Mm.
It's going to be another, like I said, another great week 5, just like we had in the men's Six Nations. So pretty cool to see. And also, just I know we had mentioned this before. Just looking at the different leagues and the different clubs. Like we've done the United Rugby Championship. We've done today we've spoken about the Premiership Rugby League, and then we've also spoken about the Super Pacific or the Super Rugby Pacific League. And the one thing that I've noticed, there's a lot of women in the audience and fans and cheering on. So yeah, that's pretty cool to watch. That on the men's side, there's a lot of women that show up to watch the games and cheer them on. So yeah, it's pretty cool to watch. And I hope that's a tradition that continues here in the States once the game of rugby starts
Takes off.
growing. Yes. So pretty cool to watch. So with that, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Rugby with Rifle, talking about the Gallagher Premiership Rugby League. And once again, thank you, my friend Rifle.
Very welcome, Danny.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for watching.
And until next time, when we are going to speak about the top 14 rugby league, which is the French league. And then we're gonna have the announcement of the British and Irish Lions Tour players as well. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting couple of weeks, needless to say. So with that, everyone, again, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and until next time, take
Cheers,
care,
everyone.
Thank you for watching this episode of Rugby with Rifle. Remember to press the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet to support this podcast.